Periods, the hush-hush word even in the 21st century, where a menstruating girl is still considered impure in many parts of the world. Yes, not just in India or neighboring country Nepal, but across societies, even in some developed nations. But this video is not just about menstruation. It is about how a girl, worshipped as a goddess, suddenly loses all her divine power the moment she begins to bleed. I am talking about Kumari Pratha, the centuries-old tradition of worshipping a living goddess in Nepal. So what is this practice really about? In the heart of Kathmandu, a little girl from the Newar community is chosen to embody Taleju, the Hindu goddess believed to be the manifestation of goddess Durga. She is called the Kumari. The word Kumari is derived from the Sanskrit word Kumar, meaning young girl or virgin. However, in Nepal's context, the term refers to the prepubescent girl who is chosen and worshipped as a living goddess. People seek her blessings and believe that just one glance from her can bring fortune or misfortune. She does not walk on the road while publicly appearing. She does not go to school like other children. She lives in the Kumari Ghar, a palace built just for living goddess. The Kumari Pratha is in news again as Aritara Shakya, a 2-year and 8-month-old girl, has been crowned Nepal's new Kumari or living goddess on September 38, 2025. The origin of this practice dates back to the 17th century. According to a traditional story, King Jai Prakash Malla, the last Malla king of Kathmandu, used to meet goddess Taleju every night to discuss the welfare of his kingdom. One night, his wife followed him out of curiosity and saw the goddess. Offended, Taleju vowed never to appear before the king again except in the form of a young virgin girl from the Newar community, and thus began the tradition of choosing a living goddess, the Kumari. The Kumari is always chosen from a Newar community which follow a unique blend of both Hindu and Buddhist traditions with practices like the Kumari worship rooted in their Hindu beliefs. But the divinity of the Kumari is short-lived. The moment she starts menstruating, she is believed to lose her divine powers. Menstruation, a biological process that signifies womanhood, ironically ends her sacred status. She must immediately step down, return to normal life, and another prepubescent girl is chosen in her place. I spoke to an activist, Radha Paudel, who works to make menstruation a dignified practice. One where women are not subjected to discrimination but are treated with respect and equality. Listen in. How do you see this practice personally as a culture that should be preserved, or as a practice that requires, re-examination in today's world?
It has multiple interpretations. So it's a violation of the child right, violation of the woman right, and institutionalization of the menstrual discrimination. As an activist for the dignified menstruation or human right, to me this is not really tradition, because regardless of the ethnic group, the violation of the human right is not a culture of any community. This is how I believe. So it should be re-examined on the basis of today, because the culture also construct, redefine based on the environment. So I think this is the very high time that not only as a Nepali folks, the entire global community has to reassess this kind of practice. Even the child right, the pioneer child right activists, most of them they remain silent, and few of them they write, oh, this is the right to the cultural right to culture, and what sort of culture we have been talking? The 2.5 years old girl putting in a separate place, separating with her parents. Nowadays, they provided the opportunity for continue her education by providing the special tutor, allowing few friends to play, allowing to eat whatever she likes. But We have to think in a very simple. We don't need the any degree of the human right or any international exposure to define it. The, about 3 years girl child putting in that much decoration for the sake of us, for the sake of us, she cannot argue or she cannot able to make the decision on her body. For that, we need to wait until the 18 years or 20 years, according to the WHO standards, where her brain is really able to make decide about herself. Taking bath, get ready for the puja, and then get ready for the food, get ready for the school. So she has to follow the very much strict rules, and she doesn't have a choice. Everything is very much controlled. The few intellectuals, few media claim, and they are and they blaming to me and pointing to me that I'm not supporting them, but I'm not against for anyone, any ethnicity, any cultures, any religion, but I'm thinking what we are believing now.
The selection of a Kumari is both ritualistic and rigorous. The girl chosen as Kumari must belong to the Shakya or Vajracharya caste of the Newar community. The priests look for 32 physical perfections: flawless skin, black hair and eyes, a calm voice, long eyelashes, a body free from scars or blemishes, and so on. The process also includes spiritual tests. She must show courage while spending a night in a room filled with animal heads and is exposed to scary masks, noise, and symbolic threats to ensure she embodies the courage of the goddess. For centuries, Kumaris were secluded from the outside world, rarely allowed to walk or play. Education was limited, with only private tutors visiting the Kumari Ghar. However, in recent years, efforts have been made to ensure that the Kumari receives basic education while continuing her role as a living deity. Still, her social interaction remains minimal and her childhood largely confined.
Right now, it is already a little bit changed, so they are getting the education is like the public school. I mean the government, according to the government curriculums, by having the one single tutor or based on the subject teacher, right? So, but whatever she's getting right now, the good food or the playing with the friends or education, everything is in a very controlled environment. She has a limited friend. She has a one teacher. She has to study with the only one teacher. So she's like a very much control. She is not emotionally, physically, socially, politically prepared for to make the informed choices on her body.
Human rights activists have long questioned this practice. They argue that Kumari Pratha, while rooted in faith and culture, violates a child's right to freedom, education, and normal development. The Nepal Supreme Court in 2008 directed the government to safeguard the Kumari's rights, ensuring education, healthcare, and proper care and pension even after she retires.
But if we see the lens of the child right, how could we claim that she is living with the full life of right of development, even right of participation, and I really cannot explain that the gravity of the violation of her child right, and also the overarching human right. And if we see from the perspective of the dignified menstruation, of course, there is a right to dignity, right to freedom, right to equality, right to even the she would get the good food, but she wouldn't get the food as like her sisters has at home. She doesn't have the opportunity to play with her parents, and she has already enrolled in the Montessori play group. That means she could not get all the friends as she has before. So the multiple human rights are violating it once.
There is some resistance to this in the newer generation, in the younger generation. But yeah, do you think this practice will continue 50 years from now?
I think it will not continue in that way. It will modify. It will be continued because it is uh, it is the matter of our pride. It is our tradition, and there are the tradition which are really aligned with the human right values. We need to continue, and if they are not contributing or not aligning towards the human right principles, we need to modify it. And compared to the beginning of the Kumari's days, and now it is already modified. So I'm really hopeful, I'm optimistic, and it will continue with the other form, and it should be. Because based on my experience working on dignified menstruation, right now those people who are not knowing me personally or through my books, they just learn through the interview in television or reading somewhere else, and they already started to change, and they keep sending the message through the social sites. They tag me. So this is how, regarding the Kumari, no one, there are very little voices, and there is no collective voice, there is no public voice. People keep whispering among themselves.
Do you think a reform which will include her, going out and meeting people and then, will bring up changes in socially and psychologically, will that reform be a better reform in the practice?
Let me
How does it impact socially and psychologically?
Let me respond the other way around. Just yesterday in UK, the Sarah, I forget her name, Sarah something, was nominated first bishopship for the Cathedral Church. See, so is she is the 106th bishops in Cathedral Church, first time in history. So
a woman bishop.
Yeah, women bishop. So the currently the global community is trying to go far right. At the meantime, there are the silver linings, and there are the hopes. So if London can do, Nepal also can do, and then by considering the emotional, social, political, educational, all backgrounds, the Kumari also, the criteria, the eligibility criteria for Kumari also would change, and then they will pick up the girls after the 20 years of her age. By the time she can make her informed choice on her body, on her mind, and she already would have the college degree, and so I'm thinking very positive, very optimistic side. So we can do it in that way, and I believe our Nepali friends will listen, and also get ready for that kind of transformation.
The Kumari tradition stands at a complex intersection of faith and feminism. It celebrates the power of the feminine divine, yet withdraws it the moment a girl begins to menstruate. There's no midway, can more reforms in the practice, like how education was introduced, how personal tutor was, allowed, can those reforms bring a little more change in the practice, or do you think the whole idea of, worshipping a young girl should be abolished?
I'm thinking, what could be the solution? by protecting the tradition in one hand and also promoting the human right. How could we balance it? So why should not we change the age? So if we picked up the girls based on the informed choice of herself, where we can maintain her agency, the bodily autonomy, and also protect her child right, human right, dignified menstruation, and let's make the rules that like let's pick up the one girl who has a that kind of interest and the capacity to play is a living god after 20 years of her age, which is really the win-win situation.
Yeah, which is very contradictory to what the practice is.
Right
That's
now
what the
is
whole question is about, that how, these girls are relieved from this
yeah,
practice once they start
yeah.
menstruating.
And if we go very, very deeply, even if you go through the criteria, though I'm not belong with the Newari community, even I'm not from Kathmandu, I'm outside of the Kathmandu. So I consider myself as an outsider for the Kumari Pratha. But if you see the critically, the girls should be free from any kind of disability, free from any kind of owns or some courts or something like that. So that means even the girls with the disability not considered as a Kumari. So the Nepal government has Nepal government is a signatory country for more than dozens of international human rights instruments, primarily the CEDAW, the Child Rights Convention, and then the October 11 International Girls' Day, and we also celebrate the National Child Right Day, special day for us, and then and it's very 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 sorry. I really don't have any justification. I keep trying, I keep struggling to figure out and to align whether I'm really biased or not. So but I don't find any single lining to convince myself that this is the good practice, we have to continue. No, I really wish for that modification, because the Newari community is more dominant, and historically they are here in Kathmandu. They are more intellectual. They are all around the globe. They are the scientists. They have they are everywhere. So I wish they could modify the criteria, and then they start to pick up the girls after the 20 years. So it would be the goal I'm dreaming for. So we can continue the tradition, and also there will not be the violation of the human right, and then it should not be linked with the menstruation. Right now, the not only the menstrual blood, even any cut or any kind of bleeding considered the impurity. So we need to really open and need to challenge ourselves. Right now I keep following the social media that many colleagues from the child right Newari community and then other activists said this is the pride moment, and oh, these people who are not supporting this, they are the something bad people and speaking on behalf of the Western mindset. So that kind of blaming they are throwing. But I humbly request them through your media that let's not make a cocoon. Let's loosen our boundaries, and let's be ready for the dialogue. Let's examine the everyday practices for the 8 years of such a young girl, like 3 years girl.
The practice stands at the intersection of centuries old tradition and evolving societal thinking. While religion calls for its continuation, rational thought urges reforms. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the Kumari tradition, and how can a balance be found between preserving culture and protecting the rights of the girl? This is Harshita Rathore. You can check out more stories and ground reports on Newsreel Asia's YouTube channel and subscribe to support people-centric journalism.